What's good, guys? Welcome back to Small Talk on Head-to-Head Fantasy Basketball. And of course, I'm being joined with Anson. What's good, my boy?
Was good. Today we'll be going over sell high candidates, just players that we think have their best value based off their performance the past 2 weeks. And these are players that you can potentially sell high and get the biggest return for right now.
Yeah, let's get started with our first candidate. We have Jarrett Allen. And of course, we did put him on a sell high before already. So if you guys don't know already, he's playing fantastic. He's ranked 13 the past 2 weeks, averaging about 50 fantasy points, and it boosts his average up to 37.7, about 38 fantasy points per game. So the reason why Jared Allen's definitely going to be a sell high here is you just look at the news. Mobley's expecting to return in about 2 or 3 weeks. Garland's going to come back within this week or maybe next week. He'll be back. So I'll definitely take in some more shot attempts and it'll go cut into his production. But once Mobley comes back as well, Jared Allen will probably go back down to where he was when he was playing with Mobley, about 34, 35 fantasy points per game, which I still think is a little high. I think he can go back down to like 33, 32. But as of right now, he's averaging 50. So if you can try and get him, get somebody out for him or package him in a deal, people might want that better than just Jared Allen straight up for somebody. So these are just ways you can try to get Jared Allen off your team and try to get maybe a top 30, top 40 player, in my opinion. I think that should be a very, very good pickup for you if you can get that through.
Yeah, Allen's been doing this for a while now, so it's not like a small sample size. It doesn't look like kind of a fluke streak. He's been doing this for almost a month now, or since Mobley went out with the injury. Now Mobley is expected to come back soon. Garland, he should he should be back already. But he's just getting his conditioning up because he was inactive due to a fractured jaw. So he's fine now and he's just getting his conditioning up. He's expected to come back next week. When Mobley does come back, we should expect to see Jared Allen's rebound drop to 10 rebounds per game. That's about 5 fantasy points right there. And then you also got to reduce maybe the amount of blocks he's been getting because he'll be sharing that rim protecting responsibility with Evan Mobley. On top of that, you're also cutting cutting out some of the extra touches that Jared Allen has been getting because he's been starting alongside Dean Wade and Sam Mario's been in the lineup and all these players that just aren't very high volume shooters. Jared Allen has been benefiting by getting a lot more touches, especially when Garland comes back. You could reduce his touches even further. So I feel like, there are some arguments saying, okay, maybe Jared Allen has improved as a player this year, which he has. And some of these improvements are sustainable, but I just don't think the volume of shots and rebounds will be there when Mobley and Garland comes back.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, everything you just said there. So if you guys do have Jared Allen on your team, try to ship him out. And if someone else is trying to trade you Jared Allen, understand that, hey, he's a sell high. Just be aware of that. Let's move on from Jared Allen. We got Jay Will. And I know Jay Will looks like a breakout star for OKC. And he has also been on our list for sell highs. But he's still here, averaging about 47 fantasy points per game. Last 4 games, he's shooting lights out, couldn't miss 58% field goal, 57% from three. And if you guys like, okay, he's a great player to improve. Okay, this is very unsustainable. Like Steph Curry don't shoot like these numbers. Okay, like this ain't happening for a consistent long time, right? As of right now, his current average last year was 36.7 fantasy points per game. And we are definitely looking to be dropping around that already. 37 fantasy points per game, 38 will be where he should be at. But as of right now, he is getting a lot of touches and he's also making a lot of shots. So if he does have, cold streaks, he'll come back down to earth where he's probably averaging about 50, 51% field goal, maybe like 40, 42%, 40% from the three. That'll be more accurate for Jay Will. So if you do have Jay Will, this could also be a time to move him. If you don't have him and someone's trying to send you J Will, like I said already, just be aware, okay, he's a sell high candidate. Don't be like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. Why is this guy trying to trade him? Let me get him. He's a steal. Like, understand what's going on. Okay, he's having really, really good games. And if he ever comes back down to earth, those numbers are going to definitely drop back to about 37, 36, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely insane how well Jaylen Williams has been shooting, considering that he's also been taking more shots these past 15 days. He's been taking two more shots than his average, and his efficiency gone up, which is very impressive. You also have to consider that Shea has been dealing with lingering ish injuries. It hasn't caused him to miss too many games. I believe Shea only missed one game the past 2 weeks. However, Shea has been dealing with a lingering injury, hasn't been as involved in the offense as Shea usually is. So I think Jaylen Williams is kind of benefiting from that. He's able to take more shots. He's also able to handle the ball more. He's averaging 6 assists the past 2 weeks, which is higher than his average of 4.5. And 4.5 is pretty high for Jaylen Williams already compared to his rookie season. But he's starting to get more ball handling responsibilities. Even so, when Shea's kind of done with his lingering injury, I expect Jaylen Williams to get less volume, less ball handling responsibilities. Just expect Shea to kind of just reclaim that role.
Yeah, I can definitely see Shea bouncing back. Shea has been a little bit struggling, struggling is in air quotes because he's been still averaging like 30 points per game. But like Anson said, it's just been a little struggle, but I think Shea's definitely come back up and Jay Will should definitely go back down. But let's move on from Jay Will. We got Malcolm Brogdon. Okay, so Malcolm Brogdon, we know whenever Portland has players out, this guy turns into the GOAT. Like this guy literally averages like 50 fantasy points every time someone's out. So Shaedon Sharp's out right now. I know Simons was out a little bit for some illness, not injury, illness, and then Brogdon just averaged like 45 to 50 fantasy points a game. So when they do come back, Simons I know is coming back already. Sharp's gonna come back within a week. So if you guys do have Brogdon, you can definitely try to trade him off because when Shaedon Sharp, Scoot, and Simons is out, we could see Brogdon barely breaking the 20-minute mark. So it's very, very difficult to kind of hold on to Brogdon. So if you guys have Brogdon, definitely try to move him. Like I said, try to package him and move him because I think tomorrow Simons is playing. And if Scoot is also playing, then Brogdon's going to probably be limited to 20, 22 minutes around there. And when Sharp comes back, then, even under 20 minutes. So Brogdon wouldn't be even rosterable until either they got blown out or they're just get injured again. Right. So if you do have Brogdon, definitely try to move him. He's been playing spectacular though. 23 points per game, 7 assists, 16 field goal attempts per game, 33 minutes. So if he gets the minutes, I think Malcolm Brogdon's gonna be really, really good. But as of right now, he's definitely a sell high.
Yeah, Alan just covered everything basically. Portland has a big logjam at the 1 and 2 spot. They have uh, four pretty good guards that all deserve minutes. However, Malcolm Brogdon, he is the oldest one, and Portland's rebuilding, so they shouldn't prioritize Malcolm Brogdon. They should prioritize Shaedon Sharp, Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson. On top of that, there's also a pretty good chance that Malcolm Brogdon could get dealt um, in the upcoming month during the trade deadline. So if he does get dealt, I think that he'll probably get dealt to a contending team, which makes a lot more sense. And if he is dealt to a more contending, competent team, he's probably likely to kind of have limited touches, not kind of replicate the amount of volume that he's able to get playing in Portland without Shaedon Sharp or without Anthony Simons and just kind of running the show. He's likely to be kind of put onto a stacked team or kind of play off the bench like he did in Boston. So you just got to take that into consideration that if Malcolm Brogdon does get traded to a competitive team, his value could likely plummet.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I was just gonna bring up the trade rumor too. So trade deadline is coming up in like 2, 3 weeks, I think, probably closer to 2 weeks. So if Brogdon does get traded, if he gets traded into a better like a team that's better for a situation, then obviously he's gonna be must rostered. But if I don't think that might happen, he probably like Anson said, go to contending, which will drop his minutes for sure and usage. So moving on from Brogdon, we have Triple J. I know a lot of them saying, Triple J they don't know what to do with them, right? No Bane, no Jaw, right? No Marcus Smart. Triple J looks like he's thriving right now. I mean, just after tonight, too, monster game. He had like 40 fantasy points in the first quarter alone, and it was like 60, right? So Triple J is definitely gonna get his touches, get his minutes, but I think you guys can definitely try to move him when he's a sell high. If you guys don't know, a lot of people that had Triple J in the beginning of the season, they suffered through his slow start, and it was very, very bad. It was very, very tough. He was averaging like 30, 35 fantasy points a game. It was just very difficult to hold on to him since I think expectations for him this year was very, very high, judging from what he did last year. But as of right now, he looks like he's in his former self, but we have to see what or how he plays when everyone comes back, right? Marcus Smart, John Moran's out for the season, but Marcus Smart, Bane comes back, will definitely cut into his minutes and his usage. But as of right now, he's playing spectacular basketball, 48 fantasy points a game, 3.7 steals per game, 21 field goal attempts. Like he just has the ultimate green light. Like he can do anything he wants on the court. The coach can't pull him out because they need him. So he's doing anything he can, and he's obviously showing for that. Hey, I can play the basketball. I can get these fantasy points for you guys. But if you guys do want to move him, I recommend moving him, maybe in like a week or so, right? Bane and Marcus Smart coming back around 3, 4 weeks, I think 3 or 4 more weeks. But as of right now, Triple J is looking like a fantasy monster right now.
Yeah, it's super difficult to evaluate Jaren Jackson Jr. He's definitely kind of a sell high in my opinion, but the numbers that he has been producing the past 2 weeks is kind of what I expected in the beginning of the year when John Morant was ruled out. I kind of expected Jaren Jackson to be anywhere from 45 to 48 fantasy point per game, and he just hasn't been doing that all year. Um, but now he's finally doing it. So for managers in your league that haven't been keeping up with Jaren Jackson, haven't been kind of seeing Jaren Jackson struggle this year. Now that Morant's out for the rest of the season, you can kind of use that to your advantage. Like, hey, look, Morant's out. This is what we expect from Jaren Jackson. But based off this entire season, I don't. Based off the sample size we got so far, I'm not too optimistic about Jaren Jackson. I have him in one of my leagues, and I'm not too confident that he can keep this up. 48. I think he could still be around a 40 fantasy point per game player. So if you can get someone that is 43 to 40, 43 to 47 fantasy points, I would definitely target those players to trade Jaren Jackson away. Realistically, I could project him averaging 40 fantasy points per game, low 40s, maybe 42. But yeah, 48 is too high. So if there's a buy low candidate that you can get, average about 43, 44, 45, I definitely target him. And you also have to take in consideration, just like Alan said, Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart will come back, which will impact his shot volume. He's right now, the past 7 days, he's able to take 21 field goal attempts per game throughout the season without John Morant. But with Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart in the rotation, he's only able to take 16 field goals per game.
Yeah, let's move on from Triple J. But like Anson said already, try to get him for a buy low candidate. Some names out there, you could probably throw Curry in there, probably grab Curry for him. If someone wants to move Curry, grab Curry. There's some other names that we'll probably give you guys on our buy low videos. But yeah, try to move Triple J if you can. Like Anson said already, no brainer. Just move them if you guys could. Let's move on from Triple J. We got D'Lo, and I know D'Lo has been shooting lights out too, right? 57% field goal, 25 points per game, averaging 42 fantasy points. I know he dropped 70 bomb like twice in like 2 weeks. So people are really, really happy with people who have D'Lo. If you're one of those guys, understand what you guys been through with D'Lo. This guy got moved to the bench. I could still see him playing off the bench, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just came back as a starter. But as of right now, he is playing out of his mind. Like I think he plays better off the bench. 42 fantasy points per game. You guys can try to move him for maybe package him with one of the other sell high. You have two sell high candidates on your team. Package them together. Try to ship them off for one good buy low candidate, or just have a good candidate you guys can grab from one of your other teammates, I guess, or your other competitor. But yeah, if you can just look at D'Lo, 38 fantasy points per game, I think that will probably drop down to 36. Just if he goes back onto the bench. And right now he's averaging 42, 43, and he's shooting amazing. So if you guys can try to move D'Lo, package him, or just try to move him by himself. If someone wants D'Lo, don't be like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to D'Lo because he's playing really well. Don't do that. Just if someone wants D'Lo, give it to him. Make sure it's a good offer for you. And if you guys don't know what's good offer, you guys can obviously join our Discord, message us there. There's a lot of people that'll help you and give you guys a breakdown on who might be better, who might not be as good. So D'Lo is one of those players that are definitely a sell high. So if you guys do have D'Lo, try to move him off your team.
Yeah, this isn't regular production from D'Lo. If you see 2023 last year, when he kind of, I just put the stat on for last year just so you could see him as a full-time starter as a Laker. He kind of got the green light and he was able to average 38 fantasy points. I think that's his absolute ceiling if he stays as a starter. But throughout this season, like Alan said, he's been moved around from the bench, back to the starting lineup, back to the bench. He's been getting limited minutes due to playing poor defense. And this year, he's been averaging 34 fantasy points per game. That's with the recent spikes. That's with the 70-point games. They only jumped his fantasy production to 34 fantasy points per game. He's usually a 40% three-point shooter, which is really good. Right now, he's shooting almost 50% from three. He's shooting 60% from the field almost. So 25 points per game. He's never done it in his career. Just know that this is the hottest D'Lo's ever been shooting from the field. And there's also potential that D'Angelo Russell could be getting traded as well. So you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, don't forget about that. Lakers are obviously understanding that if they really want to make a title run, they need to move some pieces. They need to get some better pieces. So D'Lo would be definitely on the chopping block if they do get a good deal. But let's move on from D'Lo. We have Collin Sexton. All right, Collin Sexton also been playing really well, shooting really, really well. 24 points per game, almost three pointers on 52% shooting. And the thing is, Collin Sexton isn't really known to be efficient, right? But as of right now, it looks like they're just trying to develop him to see how he plays alongside Laurie and the other guys. But right now, he's averaging 46 fantasy points a game. I currently have Collin Sexton in one of the leagues, and I know he's probably a sell high, and I'm going to try to move him. So if you guys are watching this and you guys are in my league, just be aware. I'm gonna send you the offer for Collin Sexton in a little bit. But we just look at what he's done before: 17 points per game, only shoots 1.5 3-point attempts. He's shooting 37% from three. I think that's a little bit more accurate. Let's just say he did improve, goes up like 38, 39%. That's still about 10% less than what he's shooting right now. Right. And Collin Sexton, he is a great player. I love it that he plays very like good mental basketball and plays really, really aggressive, and I'm not aggressive, plays very hard, plays well, I think, plays good basketball in my opinion. But 46 fantasy points is not sustainable. So if you do have Collin Sexton, try and move him. And like I said again, if you don't, and someone's trying to send you Collin Sexton, just understand, hey, he's a definite sell high. He'll drop off. Just don't know where he's drop off to. I could see him averaging 34 fantasy points a game. And if that's still fine for you, if you just like Sexton as a player, then that wouldn't be too bad of a trade for you. Or just try to get him off your team, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not too much to say with Collin Sexton. He's just been shooting the ball really, really well, kind of like D'Lo. The one thing to think about as well is that Jordan Clarkson came back about 5 games ago. He missed a lot of time, so that is also why Collin Sexton has been getting uh so much shot volume, and that's part of the reason that the coach has been playing Collin Sexton more because with Clarkson out, Collin Sexton kind of had the green light to just kind of lead the Jazz, and he's been doing a really good job. That's why he kind of not only did he get a spike in minutes, he's able to retain his minutes with Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson is slowly getting back into the rotations, starting to get more touches. So it could impact Collin Sexton, but the fact that Collin Sexton's still able to score and still able to retain his minutes is a pretty good sign that Collin Sexton is able to sustain some of this production, just not 46, because he's definitely not shooting 52% from three.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So if you guys have concept, like Anson said, right, just get him off your team, move him. Clarkson is definitely going to take some of the shot volume away. I know last game he shot like 27 shots. I don't think that's happening for Collin Sexton consistently. And then obviously shooting very, very high percentages that I think will definitely drop off and go back down to earth. But let's move on from Collin Sexton. We got our last candidate here. We got Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez was last for a reason. We were trying to figure out how we can see that he's a potential sell high. And there's not really much, his blocks are still 3 blocks a game, which that's easily 12 fantasy points, 41 fantasy points per game in total. 34 minutes per game, 60% field goal, shooting really well. I think either he's gonna have a really, really good season, but I don't think 41 is sustainable. I think this is where if he can actually sustainably average 41, I think that will probably be his best season yet. Um, Overall, 34.6 fantasy points seems to be where he should be at. I think he can be closer to 36, 37, right? Let's just say they're playing really well, right? Obviously, the addition of Dame, it allowed Brook to operate a little bit more. If they double team Dame or double team Giannis, Brook is an open man, and he's obviously a really good finisher around the rim, and he can shoot threes. So I think that allows Brook to obviously play his game well, and that could go into reason why he's getting better at fantasy, putting up more fantasy points for you guys. But if you guys do have Brook Lopez, it's really up to you. I don't want to say he's a definite sell high. It's just I think he'll drop back down to 37, 38, which is still pretty good for Brook. So if you guys do have him and you guys do want to try to trade him, I think this would be the best time to trade him. I think he just had three really, really good fantasy games. So if you do want to trade him, you guys can trade him now. If you guys want to hold on to him, it wouldn't be too bad of a hold in my opinion as well.
Yeah, Brook Lopez he's not really too out of character in one specific category. Like his field goal is up 10%, but he doesn't shoot a lot, so it's not really too out of character that he's making a couple more shots per game. Um, the main thing is just that 40.7. That's really his ceiling in my opinion. That's his absolute ceiling. I think he's hitting it right now, where he's kind of just doing really well in every category. But once those categories start dropping, then you'll see his fantasy production drop. But yeah, he's averaging close to 2.9 blocks for the season. The past 2 weeks, he's averaging a little over 3 blocks. The past 2 weeks, he's had 5 block games, 4 block games. That's kind of spiked up his average. So if he doesn't get those blocks, we could definitely see those his fantasy production decrease. Also, Dame has been very up and down. He's been um had some really good games, and then he had a dry streak of really bad games. So I'm not really too sure if Brook Lopez is able to continue scoring the way he is when Dame is starting to be more consistent. But yeah, with Brook Lopez, it's kind of hard. You can keep him if you want. Me personally, I would trade him if I could get someone that averages about 38, 39, maybe a buy low candidate at 37.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. So, like I said, Brook Lopez is one of those players that we'll give it up to you to decide. If you have Brook Lopez, it's up to you if you really want to move him. If you're like, hey, I like how he's playing and doesn't look like he's gonna drop off too much, it wouldn't be a bad hold. But like Anson said, in his opinion, try to move Brook Lopez. And I think in my opinion too, I agree with Anson. I think it'd be better to try to get him for a buy low candidate. But I think that should wrap up our video. Is there anything else you want to add for them, Anson?
Yeah, if you guys disagree with us or you guys have a question about another player that you think is a sell high candidate, let us know. Be sure to look out for our buy low video dropping soon. And also, if you guys haven't joined our Discord, go ahead. It's in the link in the description. So go join our Discord. We'll have a community there. We always talk about fantasy trades or just anything basketball related. So yeah, go make sure to join our Discord.
Yeah, sounds good. And we'll see you guys on our next video. Take care and good luck on your fantasy season. We know the season is coming up to an end rate. We're at the halfway point. And if you guys need a win, try to really push hard now. If you guys are sitting well in your league, just try to make sure you guys get good players that can play well for you. But yeah, good luck on your guys' fantasy season, and we'll see you guys on our next video. Peace.
Peace.